important call by one of our guests yesterday that the unemployment rate will double in 2024. Let's talk about the Bitcoin ETF. Let's talk about China taking Taiwan. And if that's not enough, let's talk about the real estate crash that will be the largest of Grant Cardone's career. What is he saying now? Folks, it is December 27th. I hope you're having an amazing day. These are the 5 headlines that I think are important to understand. First, we need to talk about this discussion we had with Dion and Matt, the lumberjack, yesterday. At the tail end of the conversation, which I think published at 11 a.m., Matt dropped a bombshell. Matt said that he predicts, he's guessing, his crystal ball is as broken as yours and mine, but it's important. He thinks that it is possible that the unemployment rate will double in 2024. If you know where I stand, you know I personally don't believe it, but his guess is as good as mine. So what I was left to think about is, if he is right, how might it happen, and what would the response be? So first off, to understand the doubling, that means we are going from a 3.7 today, last reported, to 7.4% in sometime in the next 12 months. So I ask you, you have been with me for a while, what would happen with the powers that be if unemployment got unanchored from 3.7 and started to move higher in a consistent fashion? Now, let's just do the math together. We are talking about a move of 3.7% in a 12-month window. That means we are moving 0.3% a month. We are certainly averaging that. Maybe some months are more, some are less, but we are averaging, roughly speaking, 0.3% a month. So I ask you, if the Fed sees the unemployment rate jumping from 3.7 to 4 to 4.3 to 4.6 to 4.9 to 5.2, so on and so on, when do they react? Because boy, I believe they will react. So at first, I believe the Fed will tinker. The Fed somewhere at maybe, 4.2, maybe 4.5, they will start cutting rates by a quarter point. At which point the unemployment rate is unanchored and it will continue higher. So at some point, I believe the Fed will go, holy cow, we broke the economy right back to zero. Okay, great. I don't know when that is. Maybe it's 5.5, maybe it's 5, somewhere in there. But that's not all. I have been studying the economy for 30 years. I have a degree in economics. I've built big businesses and go-to-markets. I can tell you that's not all that will happen. First and foremost, somewhere along the lines, QT will stop and QE will start without question. The Fed's balance sheet will stop shrinking. It will start growing. But that's not all. The next thing that will happen is the government, the senators, the House of Representatives, all of these folks, they will be creating stimmy checks. They will be sending checks to consumers and say, save us, go spend money, which they now know works. Not only that, there will be government-pushed infrastructure investments. There will be tax savings for this and that. And that's not all. That's not all. The other thing that I think that will happen, again, the system knows it works, is you would see moratoriums come back. Get unemployed, get a moratorium. Get unemployed, delay expenses, all of this stuff. We would go right back to what worked in 2020. Folks, in 2020, I think unemployment shot to like 12%. If you want to know what would happen if unemployment doubled, Go back to March of 2020 through May of 2020. All of that will occur. But still, you and I should ask ourselves, what happens if unemployment doubles? And believe me, Matt and I will be talking about that more when we get together next Tuesday, because I think it's an important discussion. All right, let's talk about China taking Taiwan. I don't know if you were reading the news on this. Obviously, I have lots of family in Taiwan, so I pay attention to this. President Xi from China is making noise about taking Taiwan. President Biden is saying that we will defend Taiwan. And this issue that I think everyone would like to go away is not going away. In fact, this could be a sign that President Xi sees the U.S. as being weak. He sees the weak as being depleted, right? We have had lots of armament and missiles and all that stuff be shipped to other locations. It has been wildly reported. It's been reported a lot that our reserves of military equipment is not great. Does President Xi make a move to take Taiwan next year? Of course, I hope the answer is no, but the possibility is not zero. And that could be a risk to lots and lots of things. So we need to pay attention to that in 2024. Grant Cardone in the news again. I don't know if you saw it on CNN. I did not, but I did see the replay on YouTube. Grant Cardone, or as the host said, Grant Cardone, I thought that was kind of funny. It's obviously Grant Cardone, not Cardone. Talked about the real estate market seeing the largest crash of his lifetime. Now, you should understand that almost his very next sentence was not single-family homes. It will be commercial properties. You and I have been talking about this for a year. In fact, 18 months ago, when syndicators were putting together their worst deals, Jonathan Twomley and I showed you just how easily a $100 million building would turn into $40 million. So we called this, we tried to warn you. Lots of the worst deals were being put together right when we were warning you. That said, we are already seeing Grant's call of the worst real estate correction in his lifetime happening. If you just watch the news, and if you don't watch the news, watch The Real Deal on Instagram, that's where I go. We are seeing repeatedly buildings being sold for 50% or less than their purchase price in 18, 19, and 20. Folks, cap rates expand, rents shrink, expenses up, NOI down, values kaput, equity gone, banks take back, right? So it is my opinion or my thinking that Grant Cardone is likely raising some kind of vulture fund. He is likely, and said on record, I've heard him say he is going to be buying buildings cash, no debt. I believe I heard that he closed on a property in Chicago on that very expensive street, which escapes me, at Michigan Avenue, I think it is. Michigan Avenue. I could be wrong. But again, not single family, but we are seeing some very large corrections. We warned you about it. We showed you it was happening a year ago, 18 months ago. It is going to be a big deal in 2024. Plenty of properties will trade for 50% of what they traded at last. That's going to cause a lot of cities and counties to be down on tax receipts and the like. So again, this has a lot of ripple effects coming. Let's talk about 2023. I would love to hear from you. I'm going to give you my top 3 surprises of 2023. If you could do me a favor, let's see if we can get the comment section going. Obviously, more comments, the chances of more people seeing this video will happen. So if you could take the time at some point today to tell me your top 2023 surprise, I would love to hear it. Here are my 3. Make sure I get them. Number 1, this was something I got wrong. And frankly, heading into the year, I thought it was a layup. So I missed the layup. I was horribly wrong. I admitted several times and admitted it again. I thought we would have a recession, at least a mild one, in 2023. Next up, I have to admit, as somebody who's been studying the lending market for almost 30 years, the wild and, dare I say, violent moves in mortgage rates, the 10-year bond, has been next level. I have been shocked by moves up and, let's be clear, moves down. 8 weeks ago, we were at over 8%. Today, I think we're sub 6.6. That's a violent move. And that makes just 2023 a total surprise to me. And then next, something we got right. Something I called very, very early on this channel is that transactions for existing home sales would bottom at 3.8 million. The experts thought we would bottom somewhere between 4 and 4.1. I called 3.8, and it looks like the bottom will hold at 3.79. I don't have good news for you. I don't see some rocket ship off the bottom. It is certainly my hope that rates stay in the 6s. I do not want us to visit the 5s too quickly, because that just goes back to this violent market. But yes, something we got wrong, no recession. Something we got right, 3.8 million transaction. Obviously, the bottom came in just a tick lower at 3.79 million. So I will call that a win. So again, tell me what your biggest surprise was for 2023. It does not have to be one of mine. Just love to hear from you. Bitcoin ETF. I've seen a lot of, I don't know, almost bipolar. Either you love the idea of Bitcoin coming in the ETF because you own some, it's going to go to the moon, or you have hated Bitcoin forever and you're going to hate it going forward. It is very interesting. There is nobody in the middle, or almost no one. Well, I'm going to land in the middle. If you've been on my channel since 2019, you know that I moved 1% of my net worth to Bitcoin ETF in a couple of just altcoins. Bitcoin and Ethereum were 90%, maybe 92%. Now they're like 98% of that portfolio. I am not, have not, will not buy more. To me, crypto or Bitcoin and Ethereum were insurance policies. I was willing to put 1% of my net worth into an insurance policy. If I lose it all, who cares? If it goes to the moon, who cares? To me, it is an insurance policy. Why am I bringing this up? Because I believe there are lots of folks in my position who will look at the Bitcoin ETF and ultimately, I think, an Ethereum ETF and go, you know what? I don't really get it. I don't really understand it, nor do I want to figure it out, but I will put 1 or 2% of my net worth in the ETF. They will look at the ETF as some kind of validation, some kind of Wall Street backing, and don't get it twisted. This will be the next gravy train that Wall Street uses to collect fees. So I expect lots of ads or whatever you're allowed to do with these ETFs. It will be something that ends up in the lexicon for folks that are quote unquote rich or wealthy. I believe there are lots of people in my position that will say, hey, I don't get it. I don't understand. I know it's a thing. Here, put 1%, put 2%. It's not going to kill me, but hey, if the lotto ticket hits, it won't suck. So again, I think the Bitcoin ETF will be a point of validation. I do not see it as some kind of, I don't see the Bitcoin ETF as a sign that Bitcoin is going to be the reserve currency of the world. I see lots of people saying Bitcoin is going to be the reserve currency of the world, and frankly, I chuckle. The math doesn't work. It is not happening. Is it a legit investment seen by some? Is it digital gold? Up to the beholder. To me, where I sit, it's an insurance policy. I'm glad I have it. It's worth a lot more than I bought it in 2019, and that is okay. So let's close with Sunday. What am I doing Sundays? What I would like to do is I would like to schedule 4 30-minute phone calls with new investors. 8 a.m., 8:30, 9 a.m., 9:30. I would like to do this for the next 3, 4, 5 Sundays going forward. These are all times Pacific. Right now, I don't book anything at 8 or 9 a.m. on Sundays. I use those as fillers. I use those for my boot camps. But right now, I would love to schedule maybe through the month of January. Sunday, 8 a.m., 8:30, 9 a.m., 9:30 with new investors. So send me a DM on Instagram. Send me an email off my website if you are interested in sharing your story. I would love to add you to the new investor playlist. We had CJ on yesterday. We have 2 more that were recorded that we'll post today. One from Darius and one from Brian, I believe. One at 9, one at 5. Enjoy those series. I am as well. And then lastly, if you've been really paying attention to my channel, you know that I have been working on a 4-house deal. It has been working in the background. My team's been working on it. I thought I would catch all of you up. Again, remember, from Thanksgiving to Christmas, I was trying to prove that we could get another amazing deal. So, about 4 weeks ago now, maybe 5, my team in Fresno at the Hub found a seller who had listed 4 homes on the market. We reached out to the agent. The agent indicated that yes, the seller would prefer to sell all 4 in a package. We went out, we drove them. What we quickly realized is the list price, which was over 900 grand for all 4, was very close to what I would call the after repair value. Let's call the after repair value for this video $1 million. 250K each, $1 million, 250 times 4. They were listed at roughly 920 grand. So there was a little margin. My team came back to me, said, hey, they're not in great shape. They all are tenant occupied. They all are rented below market, but they are tenant occupied. They are habitable. And at this point, folks, we have not been inside. I told my team, hey, they've been listed. They can't go conventional. They won't pass FHA. These are going to go to somebody with deep pockets or perhaps a flipper. So I told my team to write up a disrespectful offer at 600 grand. Seller wanted over 200 a unit, actually over 230 a unit. I'm like 150, take it or leave it. At which point the seller tells me to F off, not happening. My team does what they did. They stayed up to date, they followed up, no more bites. A week, 10 days go by. The seller, we go back to the seller's agent and say, hey, we're still here. Why don't you go get us a counter? The agent comes back with surprisingly good news. Surprisingly good news. Remember, listed at 920. Wants to sell them all. Not well, they're all well lived in. He actually comes back at 650. I got to tell you, I did not expect that. At 650, I'm like, all right, let's lock this deal up. Because remember, the 600 for me was disrespectful. 650, again, I know nothing at this point. I'm like, 4 houses, 650. You know, if I wanted to, they'd rent for like almost 5 grand. Sure, let's lock it up. Let's see what we see. So at this point, they're locked up. They're in escrow. They are tenant occupied. We have to schedule inspections because I want to know what I'm getting into. So we spend $100 per house or $400 having an inspector go out. It takes us a couple of weeks or 10 days to schedule. It takes us 3 or 4 days to get the reports back. 2 of the houses actually in pretty good shape, just dirty. Nothing crazy. One of them was kind of what I expected. All right, we're going to have to change the cabinets. We're going to, a new countertop. The flooring sucks, but only, not horrible. Nothing that would surprise me. But then there was the 4th one. And frankly, it was the one that he thought was worth the most. It has some challenges. It has some plumbing challenges. There's this gigantic tree, which is just way too close to the house, which has caused lots of plumbing problems. Probably the sewer line appears to be broke. I mean, lots and lots of problems. At that point, I'm like, sorry, can't do it. Go back to my team and say, hey, I'm not closing at 650. I want to cancel. My team goes, don't cancel. Give us a number. So I go back to and say, at 600 grand, I will take the deal. This is on Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve. The seller in an emotional state says, no, thank you. I will sign the cancellation, send it over. I'm like, great, I'm done. I'm out. We go through Christmas Day. My team calls me yesterday morning, right after I do this show, and said, hey, the seller is willing to come down to 635, and oh, by the agent thinks we could get it done at 620. What do you think? I thought about it for a minute and said, as I've told each of you individually, this is not a deal unless it is 600 grand. So I don't know where this goes. It could get canceled. But part of me thinks we may hear this afternoon. Maybe it's wishful thinking, who knows? But part of me is thinking we might get this deal at 600 grand. We'll see. I'll keep you informed. I am completely okay either way. But yeah, again, over 900, let's call it 620. You know, sometimes there is a lot of room. And again, I believe this seller just wants out. He wants the deal behind him. It's just, you know, he owns them, I think, free and clear. So that's where we are in that process. Folks, I hope you have an amazing day. What are these numbers? Well, folks, we have a channel called Best of ORaaT. ORaaT stands for, of course, one rental at a time. We now have over 1,100 subscribers, and I thank each and every one of you. We are currently 495 hours away from monetizing that channel. If you don't know, folks, we need 4,000 hours of watch time. We are currently at 3,505 hours. If you could do me a favor, go to that channel, click on a video, watch it, maybe just one today, that would be great. We've put a lot of content there, lots of easy watch hours, lots of boot camps, lots of great interviews. So if you can go there and watch some videos, that would be great. I would appreciate it. And then lastly, we have 38 people signed up for the virtual event in Las Vegas. You do not want to miss it. It will sell out. Again, you're going to watch or get the access to 21 millionaires. You're going to get to possibly interact and ask questions, and you will get the video because, hey, nobody wants to watch it end to end. You're going to want to cut it up. You're going to want to watch your speakers at your cadence. So again, I'll put the link below. Time to sign up. You do not want to miss it. February 17th, 18th, Saturday, Sunday, President's Day weekend. Get your ticket today. We're at 38 today. I do think it will sell out. So don't miss it. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.